week, his hopes were dashed. The honour would go to Brisbane's Chris Scott. Jason Dunstall joined Gordon Coventry and Doug Wade in the exclusive 1,000 goal club with his first goal in round 23. Fittingly for the former Queenslander, it was against Brisbane at the Gabba. West Coast would finish on top of the ladder, but following a fiery match in Perth, there would be a court case, investigations and repercussions. 10 players were cited on video evidence following the half-time brawl, but only one, Danny Southern, was found guilty, and he escaped with a $10,000 fine.
But Hetty is going to be carried onto a stretcher, but this is looking ugly at the minute.
There would be 4 finals in week 1 under the new Final 8 system. It was a weekend like few before. North Melbourne and Hawthorn were level at the siren, and in extra time, North, led superbly by Carey, would win by 23 points.
Carey from 35 gets the goal. The consummate professional that he is, and North Melbourne blitzing Hawthorn in extra time.
Melbourne shocked Carlton. Sean Charles and David Schwartz underlining the strength of the Demons forwards.
Not a bad snap. A goal.
Tony Shaw would bow out in a spiteful game in Perth. Collingwood losing by 2 points in what would be their last finals appearance of the decade.
McLean ever so close. It doesn't need this to finish. It does not need this to finish.
And Geelong needed to goal after the siren to beat Footscray. The ball in the hands of Billy Brownless.
Back he comes. Can he finish it off with a goal? Billy, you are king of Geelong. The monkey's off the back, Billy. Billy. Oh, Billy. Look at them. Look at those Geelong players. Look at Blighty out there. Oh,
Blight was ecstatic. While West Coast and North rested, Geelong, with a bevy of star players sidelined with injury, caused a boil-over by beating Carlton in the second semi-final.
Over the top, Ratton. Ablett will get a chance here. He's got it. Number 5.
And Melbourne did likewise against Footscray. Barnes' men bolstered by 10 goals in a near-perfect game from Gary Lyon, just too strong in attack. A week later, Melbourne played the Eagles in Perth, and the dream came to an end.
through for another goal to the West Coast.
At the MCG, Carey was again sensational for North Melbourne. It was one of his best games and a great final series. Yet with scores level and seconds to play, the ball fell into the outstretched hand of the man they call the football god, Gary Ablett.
Kick after the siren. Oh my goodness me.
There were 2 seconds on the clock when Ablett took them up.
There is no justice in football. That was the look on the face of Michael Martin, the master all day, and this game will be remembered for this kick. Gary Ablett, 5 metres out. Any score will do. Geelong are in the grand final.
All-Australian captain Greg Williams had been the outstanding player in the eyes of the umpires in 1994. He would win his second Brownlow medal by 2 votes from the Eagles' Peter Matera. The grand final would be an anti-climax, a one-sided rout from quarter time.
5 metres out there.
With the Eagles dominant everywhere, they would win their second flag in 3 years, the margin 80 points. Dean Kemp would be judged best of field, but he had plenty of mates. Just a few weeks later, Malcolm Blight would announce his resignation as coach of the Cats. He'd taken them into 3 grand finals. It was time for a rest. Lockett and Whitten, 2 giants of the game, one in his prime, one close to death. They provided the biggest stories of 1995. At the State of Origin match at the MCG, the legendary Mr. Football and the heart and soul of the interstate game for nearly 40 years made his final appearance. Almost blind and with cancer ravaging that once fine body, EJ spoke to his men quietly. He would do a lap of honour with son Ted Jr., a lap that made the hair stand up on the neck and tears well in the eyes. The first man inducted into the AFL Hall of Fame as a legend would die just a few weeks later. His state funeral televised live. The city ground to a halt, as it paid its respects to a beloved larrikin from Footscray. If 1995 was remembered for the passing of Ted Whitten, it'll be remembered for the move of Tony Lockett from his footballing roots with St Kilda into Sydney. His rebirth as a player of great quality and his emergence as one of the game's greatest draw cards. In 1995, he would pass 100 goals for the 4th time, and on that same day against Fremantle would top 1,000 goals for his career.
Steps. Here they come again. I think it's working better this time, Sandy.
As Ted Whitten listened, he performed superbly for Victoria and won the E.J. Whitten medal as his state's best against the South Australians. 1995 had so much more. North Melbourne would win the Ansett Australia Cup. The Roos, like many teams, wearing an alternative strip for the first time. Tough fullback Mickey Martin winning the Tuck medal for his job on glamour forward Tony Modra. There was a new face in the AFL. From Western Australia came the Fremantle Dockers. After 2 narrow defeats, they recorded that historic first win under coach Gerard Neesham against Bernie Quinlan's Fitzroy. Stephen Kernahan played his 200th game in front of 86,000 at the MCG. Carlton and Collingwood, the ideal opener. This time the Blues too good. Over the Anzac Day weekend, there were 5 days of football in 5 states. Close to 95,000, the second biggest home and away crowd in history, turned up for the Collingwood-Essendon blockbuster. Sav Rocker kicked 9 for the Pies. It would be a sensational match. Nothing would separate the teams at the siren.
Front of the pack, all Essendon. I reckon it's going to be a draw. Grenville. Time is out. 4 seconds left. The kick by Grenville. There's the siren. Unbelievable. The season's first try.
For the first time since 1942, Richmond would win their first 5 matches of the season. When they beat Collingwood in round 6, they'd given the Magpies their worst start in 50 years. Gloves were more than a fashion statement in 1995. Gary Ablett slipped into them and against Footscray booted 9. It was in round 6 that Bernie Quinlan broke through for a win with Fitzroy that relegated St Kilda to last place on the ladder. Tony Lockett was revelling in his new environment. At the SCG, he kicked 8 against Carlton in round 8 to help celebrate Ron Barassi's 500th coaching appearance. Essendon and Footscray played for the Ted Whitten Cup. The Bombers winning and Ted Jr. on hand to make the presentation, while his father lay gravely ill across town at the Freemasons Hospital. For the first time since round 22, 1982, Richmond was on top of the ladder. But the win against Sydney came at a cost, as young forward Matthew Richardson crashed into the fence at the SCG. He'd injure his knee and miss the rest of the season. It was a season that produced upsets, none bigger than when 16th place St Kilda knocked top team Carlton over at Waverley. The Blues kicking 3 goals for the day. We've gone from the best team in the competition to the worst in 2 weeks, said David Parkin. Gary Hocking was consolidating as a favourite for the Brownlow. His chances came unstuck when he tripped Adelaide's Mark Bickley and was suspended for a week. Richmond's banner said it all. Now we expect to be shown some respect. And against the Eagles, they produced the best sign so far of their brilliant rebirth under John Northey. Ablett passed the 900 goal mark. His 4 goals in the final quarter in the round 11 clash against Essendon, turning a game the Bombers had all but won. Justin Madden claimed the AFL switched the Blues game against Richmond to the MCG in honour of his 300th game. 85,000 paid tribute to him as he joined brother Simon in the exclusive club. The Blues enjoyed the day too, as Kernahan kicked 6 in a 5-goal win. Chris McDermott became the first Crow to play 100 games. Essendon ruined his party with a 122-point hiding. The game of the season for many was played on a Friday night to begin round 15. 76,000 saw the Bombers and